Good day, boys and girls. So, we are nearing the end of the book, and a lot of problems have been brewing through the Lemonade War. I quickly jotted down some of the problems that Evan and Jesse have been dealing with. So, let's take a closer look at the list Miss Acosta has created. The Lemonade War. So, I can see already that there's a lot of problems. So, one of the problems that Evan is mad at his sister is skipping the third grade and would be in the fourth grade with him. Another problem in the story was that Jessie was worried about being accepted in her new class and thinks people will think she's a baby. Another problem I noted was that Evan decides to have a lemonade stand, but will not let Jessie help. He's mad about her being in his class. Then we learn that Evan is afraid that his smart sister would make him feel not smart. Then Jessie finds a friend to have her own lemonade stand, and then this makes Evan mad. And the lemonade war begins. So those are my notes, students. Remember that good readers are always stopping and jotting and thinking about their thoughts as they read their book. Now, let's begin chapter 12. The waiting period. Waiting period. A specific delay required by law between taking an action and seeing the results of that action. Jessie wanted to have fun. She really did, but it seemed like the more she tried, the less she had. First, the drive to the beach took 2.5 hours because of traffic. Jessie felt the car lurching. Forward, stop, forward, stop. Memo to myself, said Mr. Morality. Never go to the beach on a Sunday of Labor Day weekend, especially when there's been a heat wave for more than a week. In the back seat, Jessie and Megan played license plate tag and magnetic bingo and 20 questions. But by the time the end of the car ride, Jessie was cramped and bored. Then the beach parking lot was full, so they had to park half a mile away and walk. When the beach was so crowded that they could hardly find a spot for their blanket. Then Megan said the water was too cold and she just wanted to go in up to her ankles. She kept squealing and running backwards every time a gentle ripple of a wave came her way. What fun was that? Sure, the water was cold, but it was the North Shore. It was supposed to be cold. That's why it felt so good on hot days like this. When Jessie and Evan went to the beach, they would boogie board and spotty surf and skimboard and throw a screaming, scrunching ball back and forth the whole time. They loved to stay in the water until their lips turned blue, and they couldn't stop shaking. Then they roast themselves like weenies on towels until they were hot and sweaty again. And then they'll go right back in. Now that was fun at the beach. Megan liked to build sand castles and collect shells and play sand tennis and read magazines. That's all fine, thought Jessie. But not going in the water? That's crazy. The ride home was itchy and hot. Jessie had sand in all the places where her skin rubbed together, between her toes, behind her ears, and between the cheeks of her bottom. And somehow she's got sunburn on her back, even though Miss Moralty had smeared her all over with thick, gulpy sunscreen twice. Jessie didn't even have the patience for 10 questions, let alone 20. But Megan didn't get that Jessie didn't feel like talking. She kept trying to get her to take a quiz in the teen magazine. If Evan had been there, he would have kept quiet, or maybe hummed a little. Jessie liked it when Evan hummed. As they turned into Damon Road, Megan asked, "Are you feeling sick?" In fact, she was. For the past half hour, Jessie had been imagining walking in the door and facing Evan. She had been feeling sicker and sicker with every mile that brought her closer home. Friends. I wonder why Jessie was really feeling sick. Hmm. Based on her previous actions, what can you infer from what we have read? Well, I could know why she's feeling sick because she has to face Evan. She has to probably think about all the things that she had done, like putting all those bugs and worms and that one caterpillar into his lemonade, which she knew it was wrong. So maybe she's feeling some sort of regret. Let's keep reading. Chapter 13, Crisis Management. Crisis management, a special or extraordinary method and procedures used when a business is in danger of failing. Sucker. Oh man, you were schooled. Preschool baby. For the third time that afternoon, Scott Spencer had gotten the drop on Evan, dribbling around him and then hitting an easy layup. So the guys were giving him the business, even the ones on his own team. It was Evan, Paul, and Ryan against Kevin Domi, Malik Lewis, and Scott. Evan wished that Scott hadn't shown up, but he had. And they needed a sixth guy for the third on third since Jack had gone home to ask his mom if they could all swim at his house. So what was Evan supposed to say? Anyway, Evan was 3 times the ball handler that Scott was, and everyone knew it. So it was all in fun. But it didn't feel much fun to Evan. "What's up, man?" Paul asked. Evan dribbled the ball back and forth, left hand, right hand, and then through his legs. "Hey, it's hot," he said. "Well, it's hot for all of us," said Paul. "Get your game on, dude." But Evan couldn't get his moves right. He was a half step behind himself, and every time he moved, the envelope slapped against his thigh like a reprimand. "Speaking of hot," said Ryan. Everyone turned to look. Jack was coming up the path, running at dead dog pace. "Oh, please, God," said Paul. "Let her say yes." As soon as he was in range, Jack shouted, "She said yes!" "What's up, Scott? What's up?" asked Scott. "Jack's asked his mom if we could go all to go swimming in his pool," Kevin said. "Hey, Jack," shouted Scott. "Can I come too?" "Yeah, sure," said Jack, who stopped running towards them and was waiting for them to join him on the path. Oh, great, thought Evan, but he wasn't about to turn down a dunk in the pool just because Scott Spencer would be there. Nobody wanted to go home for suits and towels. Kevin, Malik, and Ryan were in basketball shorts anyway, so they could swim in those. "I've got enough suits at my house," said Jack. "My mom saves all our old ones." At the house, Evan changed into one of Jack's suits. He wrapped up his underwear and shirt inside his shorts and put a bundle of clothes on the end of Jack's bed next to all the other guys' piled up clothes. It felt good to drop the heavy shorts with the envelope stuffed in the pocket. Then, just to be sure, he put his shoes on the top of his pile of clothes. He didn't want anything to happen to the money. They played pool basketball all afternoon. Even though the teams were uneven, Miss Badagasian brought out drinks and cookies and chips and sliced up watermelon. Every time one of them went into the house to use the bathroom, she shouted, "Dry off before you come in." But she did it in a nice way. Then, just when Evan thought the afternoon couldn't get any better, it did. Scott had gone into the house to go to the bathroom. A few minutes later, he came out dressed, his hair still dripping down his back. I gotta go, he said, jamming his foot in his sneakers. Did you call your mom? Asked Ryan. Nope, I just gotta go. See ya. He ran out the gate. Great, shouted Evan. Now the teams were even and they can go back to playing bull hoops. Evan didn't think about Scott Spencer the rest of the afternoon. He didn't think about Scott Spencer until he went back to Jack's bedroom to change back into his clothes. And he noticed that his shoes were on the floor and his shorts weren't folded up. Based on the details, what can we infer that just happened? And what do you think will happen next? So, I can infer that I see that Scott all of a sudden left the house. They were all having fun in the pool, but Scott went to the room and all of a sudden got dressed and said to everybody he has to go. Then Evan went to the room to get dressed when they finished, and he noticed that his shoes were not where he had placed them. They were on the floor, and his shorts weren't folded up. Could it be that maybe Scott Spencer looked through his things and found the money? What do you think is going to happen next? I think that Evan and Jesse has both made very poor choices to one another. How will the Lemonade War end? Can't wait for tomorrow's reading.